Hi, I'm Andrea Maddox-Smith, the CEO for the Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network, and I'd like to welcome you to our 4th annual virtual walk to end bladder cancer. This year is going to be exciting and bigger and better than ever. I'd like to thank the individuals and corporate donors who have helped to make this possible. You have really done a great job of helping Beacon to grow and to serve more patients. Thank you for your passion and enthusiasm in helping to create a world without bladder cancer. We could not do this without our partners and the individuals that have helped us. So thank you again, and I'll see you at the end of the broadcast. Now be sure to grab your tennis shoes. I'm going to be grabbing mine, and I'll see you at the walk. And take it away, Jennifer.
Thank you for the handoff, Andrea. Hello, and welcome to the fourth broadcast of the virtual walk to end bladder cancer. My name is Jennifer Story, and I am so honored to be your host today. Today's broadcast is brought to you by the Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network, or as some call it, Beacon, a community of patients, caregivers, survivors, advocates, and medical and research professionals dedicated to making a difference in the lives of people impacted by bladder cancer. Today, we come together to celebrate our vibrant community and support those who are in need. It's estimated that more than 712,000 people are living with bladder cancer in the United States. To help put that in perspective, there are more people living with bladder cancer in the U.S. than the entire population of Wyoming. Moreover, this year alone, more than 82,000 people will be diagnosed with the disease. Your support for the virtual walk today and throughout the year enables Beacon to provide much needed and always free educational programs and support services to our community. In addition to this virtual walk broadcast, walks to end bladder cancer are taking place today in cities across the country. We hope to share some of that energy and enthusiasm from those walks, especially those taking place in Albany, Boston, Chapel Hill, San Diego, Scarborough, Maine, and Washington, D.C. Let's hear from you, and please send those pictures. Before we begin, I would like to thank our national sponsors who make it possible to celebrate our walks today and beyond. The national presenting sponsor is the Astellas Segan Alliance. The national leadership sponsors are Merck, Photocure, and Eurogen Pharma. Our national patron sponsors are CX Bladder, the EMD Serono Pfizer Alliance, Ferring, Genentech, Gilead, and Janssen Oncology. You will be hearing from our representatives of our sponsors in the broadcast a little bit later, and why they think it's important to raise awareness of bladder cancer, improve patient outcomes, and conduct life-saving research. If you're watching this broadcast and would like to give a shout out to your walk team, fellow patients or caregivers, or that special someone in your bladder cancer journey, it's super easy. And if you're watching this on the Beacon website, simply enter a comment in the form below the video feed. You can also post on Facebook and tag the Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network, or post in the Facebook comments section of this broadcast. Finally, you can tweet us using the hashtag BladderWalk. We would love to put your name up in lights, so if you are walking in one of our 15 cities or simply walking around your kitchen, send us a post or comment with a picture. I'm pleased to introduce our first segment. Its theme is community. Having bladder cancer can feel like a very lonely experience, and Beacon works hard to make sure that no one feels alone in their bladder cancer journey. You'll hear from patients and caregivers describing why community is such an important part of a difficult bladder cancer journey. But first, let's lighten things up just a bit with a cheer from Lydia Hilton, this year's official virtual walk cheerleader. Take it off, Lydia.
No one walks alone. B-C-A-N. Beat bladder cancer.
My responses to having bladder cancer was to have a strong desire to help the community. I started and founded the New York City Bladder Cancer Support Group, and Beacon was the reason that it happened. Beacon was unbelievably helpful in getting me off the ground and helping people in New York. And I think if Beacon can grow, then we can all grow. people like me who've gone through the experience, who want to give back, who want to talk to other people. Like Beacon was the resource behind me that made that happen.
Hi, I'm Kristen Olson, Senior Director of Patient Advocacy for Seagen, a global biotechnology company that discovers, develops, and commercializes transformative cancer medicines to make a meaningful difference in people's lives.
And hello, I'm Deanna Holmes, Associate Director of Patient Partnerships at Astellas Pharma US, where we are driven by the goal of changing tomorrow and turning innovative science into value for patients. We would like to salute all of the family and friends, including our Seagen and Astellas colleagues, who are out walking to raise awareness of bladder cancer and funding for bladder cancer research.
We would also like to thank Beacon and Beacon staff for the tremendous commitment and support they provide for patients, families, and the healthcare community at large. Let's continue to partner together and change the future of bladder cancer care.
Hi there, this is Daryl Nakagawa, and I'm talking to you from the Matthew Besat Volunteer Resource Center in Chicago, Illinois. This is the set of our walk next week, and we invite you to join us here in Chicago. We'll start here at the center, travel along the North Branch Trail, see the Des Plaines River, and return back. Join us to celebrate your family and loved ones. And thanks for supporting us virtually.
I am John Lancy, a Beacon patient advocate since 2016 and a cancer survivor for 8.5 years. I've learned many things as an advocate, but none more important than this. There's a difference between being cured and being healed. My bladder cancer has progressed to a metastatic stage 4, so an outright cure for me is probably unlikely. But I've experienced the opportunity to grow and deepen, to be healed of anxiety and fear of the future, as I have experienced the love of family and friends, the passion of doctors and nurses, and the tireless energy of the folks at Beacon. When we support their work, each of us becomes a part of the healing that Beacon offers to patients, to caregivers, and to survivors. The generous spirit that urges folks to participate in the walk to end bladder cancer is a spirit of healing for all of us, whether we be ill or well. It reminds us that we are part of a community. We are not alone. I am filled with gratitude that Beacon found me when I was in need, and that you and I are members of the Healing Beacon community.
Thank you so much, Brian, Daryl, and John, for those wonderful videos. You know what? We are seeing a lot of activity on social media right now. It's so great to see the energy and enthusiasm in the amazing Beacon community. So let's head on over to Twitter. We have at Mary Weinstein Dunn, and she says, so tell me you're a bladder walk organizer the night before the event without telling me you're a bladder walk organizer. At Bladder Cancer US, I need a Beacon wine glass. Join at Beacon NCT tomorrow for the 2023 Walk to End Bladder Cancer, where I'll be drinking coffee, she says, and love that kitchen shot. Yeah, that's great. What a wonderful shot, video or photo there. Thank you so much, Mary. Next, we have Deborah Stein. She says, I walk to celebrate my survival, as well as those who came before me and will come after me. I walk to help those who look for a cure. I walk for family who have lost a loved one, and I walk for those families going on this roller coaster ride with their loved one. Thank you so much, Deborah, and we wish you all the best in your journey and everyone else's. Next, we have Andrea Apollo, and she says, join me today at the Lincoln Memorial in DC in supporting Beacon's National Walk to raise dollars for bladder cancer awareness. Look at that photo. What a wonderful, great big group there, and a furry friend or a couple. Thank you so much, Andrea. Next, we have Robin White. Robin works for Gilead, and she reminds us that they are walking to end bladder cancer to create better tomorrows for patients and their loved ones. Also, another great picture and some more furry friends joining in the walk. Thank you, Robin. That's fantastic. Next, we have Andrea Inglis. I am walking for my dad, who was diagnosed with bladder cancer 2 years ago. The diagnosis was a shock. He now has a stoma and urostomy. There have been many challenges, but he adjusted well. Thank you, Beacon, for the information you provide. It really is extremely helpful and appreciated. Thank you, Andrea, and we certainly wish your dad the best. And keep those shout outs coming, and in the Beacon community, please let us know why you are walking to end bladder cancer. Being diagnosed with bladder cancer is a frightening and overwhelming experience for patients and those who love them. It can feel like just too much to process. At the same time, it can seem like a lonely, isolating experience. We'll hear from some who have felt this way in our next segment. These include people like Anne Marie. She talks about her experiences as a patient and how Beacon helped her to feel not alone. You'll also hear from Jim, who talks about Beacon helping patients to get through this thing called bladder cancer. And Carlos describes not only his, but his wife's experience with bladder cancer. They are both survivors. We'll also hear from Monica, who details her emotional roller coaster when she received her diagnosis. But fear not, Monica says that she is not a bladder cancer survivor. She is a bladder cancer thriver. Here's our next segment.
Hi, my name is Ken Pugh, Head of North America Marketing and Alliance Management at Photocure. Photocure is committed to providing transformative solutions for bladder cancer care. For 10 consecutive years, Photocure has sponsored the Beacon Walk to End Bladder Cancer. We are honored once again to sponsor the walk in 2023. We would like to thank Beacon for its commitment to advancing bladder cancer research, increasing awareness, providing education, and supporting the community of patients, caregivers, and medical professionals. Beacon and Photocure share a common mission and vision for bladder cancer care. We are dedicated to making the lives of patients and their loved ones better. The Walk to End Bladder Cancer captures the essence and spirit of that commitment. Thank you, Beacon, for the opportunity to sponsor these events. Let's walk together, because no one walks alone.
I can't tell you the number of people that I've been able to send to Beacon. Send them because I know the resources that are available to them, the people who are available to help them. Beacon just keeps coming up with new things, new ideas, new innovative ways to help people get through this thing called bladder cancer.
Hello, I'm Mark Schoenberg, Chief Medical Officer at UroGen Parma and a practicing urologist. UroGen's goal is to improve the therapeutic choices available to patients with urothelial cancer. I'm especially proud that UroGen sponsors the Beacon Walk to End Bladder Cancer and supports its mission to help elevate the national conversation about bladder cancer and advance research to find better treatments. Behind every UroGen innovation is the inspiration to empower uro-oncology patients with life-changing treatments. Thank you for joining us on this journey to end bladder cancer together. We have the power to improve care and to make sure no one with bladder cancer walks alone. Let's keep stepping it up for patients and their families. Enjoy the walk, and thanks again for your support.
The biggest important thing I think from Beacon is you're not alone, because you really feel alone when you get diagnosed. When I go to the hospital, typically there are no women in the urology department. So Beacon has provided such a big community and the only community for bladder cancer. And to help somebody that guide them into a therapy that didn't exist maybe a couple months ago, that's what Beacon does. It facilitates so much future that you can have hope that you're going to make this.
Hi, everyone. I'm Wendy Milnes, Associate Director of U.S. Patient Advocacy here at Merck, a company dedicated to bringing important medications and vaccines to patients. We are pleased to support Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network's 2023 Walk to End Bladder Cancer. Congratulations and enjoy your event.
Hi, I'm Carlos Glender. I'm a bladder cancer survivor, and I'm really glad to be walking in this year's Bladder Cancer Walk on May 7th. My wife and I are both cancer survivors. I've been cancer-free now for about 6 years after surgery, and my wife is diagnosed with upper tract urothelial carcinoma, which is a rarer form of bladder cancer. She's about, after surgery and chemo, she's about 1.5 years cancer-free. We'll be participating in the Bladder Cancer Walk to raise funds for Beacon, which provides patient support and funds bladder cancer research. You also may notice I'm wearing my Navy hat. I'm walking for veterans as well. Veterans and first responders have a disproportionately higher rate of bladder cancer due to exposure and the nature of their jobs. I'm really grateful for Beacon, for all they have done, and I'm glad to be a part of it. We are on the cusp of some really exciting discoveries in bladder cancer research, and it's great to be a part of that, and I urge everyone out there to be a part of it as well. So let's walk on May 7th, and it's going to be great. Bye.
Hello, I'm Gina Canizero, Marketing Manager for Pacific Edge Diagnostics, the company that brings you CX Bladder, a non-invasive urine test for the detection and surveillance of bladder cancer that also offers the convenience and comfort of in-home sampling. CX Bladder has helped over 85,000 patients, and we are so honored to partner with Beacon for these incredible walks to help raise awareness for bladder cancer. We believe Bladder Cancer Awareness Month should be every month. Take care and have a great walk.
Hello, my name is Monica and I am a bladder cancer thriver. In 2004, at the age of 30, I was diagnosed with non-invasive bladder cancer. Prior to this diagnosis, I had never heard of this type of cancer. I was scared. I was nervous. It was an emotional roller coaster for myself as well as my family. I started searching online to see if I can find additional information about this type of cancer, and thankfully I came across the Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network, also known as BCAN. BCAN has been a tremendous source as well as a resource to me and my family as we navigated through the journey of bladder cancer. It is very important that BCAN continue to grow to help bladder cancer patients, their loved ones, caregivers, and the community as a whole continue to increase awareness about this type of cancer. One way in particular that you can help is by walking to end bladder cancer. This walk raises funds and awareness to continue to help bladder cancer patients, caregivers, loved ones, and the community. This year, my family and friends and I, we will be walking virtually. So lace up and have a great walk. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Monica. Very inspiring words, to say the least. You know what? Let's head back over to social because things are really heating up over there. And we have the Beacon NCT chapter saying, bladder cancer is a club that no one wants to join. We walk because it's a disease that impacts the people we love the most, our family, friends, and community members. The North Carolina Triangle chapter of Beacon. Very well said, and we love the photo. Thank you so much. Bob Milligan is up. He says, I'm walking to raise awareness and inspire hope for people facing bladder cancer. It's my way of showing gratitude for my Beacon family support over the past 14 years. Walking is my thank you to Dr. Ashish Kamat and team at MD Anderson for giving me a second chance. Walking is to say I'm blessed. Very well said. Thank you, Bob. Param Mariapan, I am so sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, says, sending you much Twitter love from the Scottish Highlands today, May 1st. And look at that photo and scenery. That's just incredible. Thank you so much, Param. Next up is Catherine Hacker Gester. She says, can't wait to join the UNC Lineberger GU oncology team at the Beacon Walk to End Bladder Cancer on May 6th at Southern Community Park in Chapel Hill, presented by the North Carolina Triangle Beacon Chapter. She is a lot bigger now, but this girl will be there with me again this year. Come walk with us. Oh, look at that photo. She is adorable. Thank you so much, Catherine. We also have Elizabeth Plimick. She says, a little rain and many of us away at the AUA meeting did not stop Team Fox Chase Cancer Center from coming out to support Beacon at the 2023 Bladder Walk. So moving to walk together with and in honor of our patients and their families. Thanks to Captain Colleen Tetzlaff and Leah Viterbo. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, and everyone. What a wonderful group right there. Thanks again. Thank you so much for posting. And if you haven't yet, be sure to comment on the Beacon website page where we are broadcasting this. Post on Facebook and tag the Beacon Facebook account, or post a comment below this broadcast you are watching on Facebook. You can also let us know on Twitter why you're walking to end bladder cancer using the hashtag BladderWalk. We want to give you a big Beacon shout out during this broadcast. And again, we're looking at you, walkers in Albany, Boston, Chapel Hill, San Diego, Scarborough, Maine, and Washington, D.C. We love action shots, so keep them coming. Now it's time to announce the 3 finalists for the annual Beacon of Hope Award. This award is given to that special person in the lives of bladder cancer patients, the person who has gone the extra mile to provide support, compassion, and hope. Beacon received more than 120 nominations this year, a record, and I'm told that it was not easy selecting just 3 finalists. Here they are. The finalists for this year's Beacon of Hope Award are Brian Billings, Dr. Amy Luckenbaugh, and Nancy Parrish. So our first nominee, Brian Billings, has been a central figure in the New York City support group and a Walk to End Bladder Cancer organizer. When nominating Brian, one person said, Brian Billings is a beacon of hope for me and many others in the bladder cancer community. In his first year of being diagnosed and having a radical cystectomy, Brian was looking for a local bladder cancer support group to become a part of. When he realized there wasn't one in his area, Brian started one. The New York group Bladder Cancer Support Group that Brian began just over a year ago has grown to a strong monthly attendance and is thriving. The same person also said, even more than these amazing things that Brian does, this is about the person that Brian is. Brian is optimistic, compassionate, fearless, and brave. He gives tirelessly to the people in our group. Brian has been a guiding light and mentor to me. Brian lives the Beacon mission statement every day by uniting all of us around him in support of people impacted by bladder cancer. Our next nominee is Dr. Amy Luckenbaugh. Dr. Luckenbaugh is the assistant professor in the Department of Urology and a surgeon at the Vanderbilt University Medical Center. She was a 2019 Beacon John Qualley Travel Fellow, and her clinical focus is the comprehensive care of patients with urological malignancies. One person who nominated her said, Dr. Luckenbaugh works tirelessly for her patients and is perhaps the most gifted bladder cancer surgeon I have ever known. She is constantly going above and beyond to support her patients who unanimously love and appreciate her thoughtful care. Another person who nominated her said, Amy works tirelessly to provide amazing surgical and medical care to patients with bladder cancer. She is one of the most selfless people you will meet, and she always goes the extra mile while maintaining a positive and uplifting outlook. Her phenomenal bedside manner undoubtedly comforts her patients and their families through the challenges presented by bladder cancer. She is an inspiration to all of us. Our final nominee is Nancy Parrish. If you're involved in the Beacon, North Carolina Triangle chapter, you definitely probably know Nancy. A bladder cancer survivor, she organizes the North Carolina Bladder Cancer Retreat every September, and her claim to fame is the beautiful rocks that she crafts in support of the chapter. A person who nominated her said of Nancy, she is a bladder cancer survivor herself. She dedicated and love for others is evident from the moment you meet her. She paints and sells rocks to help raise money so that registration for the retreat can be as little as possible for attendees. You are a stranger only once when you meet Nancy. From then on, you are a friend. Another commented, Nancy is an amazing woman. Every year she organizes a 4-day fun-filled retreat. At the retreat, people get to meet others who have faced bladder cancer. It's a life-changing event for many, including myself. And in fact, we happen to have one of Nancy's beautiful rocks. Take a look at this, how beautiful it is. It has a heart on it, and it says Beacon in the middle. It also says hope, help, information, and inspiration. And she gave this to my husband. Thank you so much, Nancy. It's beautiful. And thank you for doing this, for trying to cut down costs for those lovely events that you organize. So if you've seen, we have 3 very deserving nominees for the 3rd annual Beacon of Hope Award. The next part is up to you. Voting is now open at beacon.org/vote, and the nominee who receives the most votes between now and May 19th will win the 2023 award. Be sure to stuff that ballot box. You can vote once per day. Ask your friends and family to vote too, for sure. The winner will be announced during Beacon's Ask the Experts live event on May 24th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll hear more about Ask the Experts later in this broadcast. While the event is free, registration is required. Please visit beacon.org/ask to save your spot. At Beacon, it is often said that medical research is today's engine that will drive tomorrow's improved outcomes for bladder cancer patients, caregivers, and loved ones. In our next segment, we're going to hear more about Beacon's extensive and growing research program. We'll hear from Beacon's Director of Research, from Dr. Sarah Sutka, a urologic oncologist, and recent recipient of Beacon's Translational Clinical Trial Award, as well as from Diane Zapersky-Qualley, one of Beacon's co-founders. When Diane's late husband, John, was diagnosed with bladder cancer in the early 2000s, they were shocked to learn that treatments for bladder cancer had not changed in 30 years. There was not much bladder cancer medical research taking place either. So John and Diane decided to do something about it. And in 2005, they founded Beacon at their kitchen table. Beacon has funded more than $5 million in bladder cancer research, with much more to come. Here's our next segment.
I'm Rebecca Johnson, the Director of Research at Beacon. Advancing bladder cancer research is a critical part of Beacon's mission, and we strive to do just that each year through our multiple research award programs. Beacon's research awards focus on funding innovative science and gaps in research, and on funding the best and brightest researchers. And one of the ways we do this is through our Young Investigator Award program. I'm excited to invite you to attend this year's Ask the Experts event, held via Zoom on Wednesday, May 24th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. During the event, 2 leading bladder cancer specialists who were previous recipients of Beacon's Young Investigator Award will answer your bladder cancer-related questions. Joining us this year will be Dr. Philippa Bosch from Fox Chase Cancer Center and Albert Einstein Medical Center, and Dr. Tracy Rose from the University of North Carolina's Lineberger Comprehensive Cancer Center. Attendance at this event is free, but registration is required to participate. You can register for this unique online event at beacon.org/ask. That's bcan.org/ask. During the registration process is when you can submit a question that you would like the experts to address during the program. Also during the Ask the Experts event, we will be announcing the recipient of the 2023 Beacon of Hope Award. This award goes to an individual who has served as a beacon of light to someone facing bladder cancer. We hope you can join us for what promises to be a wonderful event with Dr. Zabosh and Dr. Rose. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Meg Harrison with Patient Advocacy Relations at Genentech. We are thrilled to support the phenomenal work of Beacon as they strive to provide education, resources, and support to the bladder cancer community. Whether you're a person living with bladder cancer, someone who cares about them, or someone who researches new treatment options, we are all in this together. The walks are a chance for us to shine a light on our community and raise awareness. We're grateful to participate and extend our thanks to all of you for your undaunted efforts. Cheers to another amazing walk season.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Sutka. I'm a urologic oncologist at the University of Washington, and I'm so excited for the 2023 Walk to End Bladder Cancer with Beacon. Bladder cancer research is critically important. We've got a lot of goals. Obviously, the most important is eventually we're trying to get to a point where no one deals with bladder cancer. But until that point, we need to continue to improve the lives of everyone who bladder cancer touches. Whether this is improving response to therapy, whether this is improving the experience and reducing the complications as people go through treatment, or whether it's helping people get stronger so that they can tolerate therapy better and emerge stronger on the other end. My goal is to help to improve the quality of life and put the power back in the hands of patients who are dealing with bladder cancer. And I've been so lucky because working with Beacon over these past couple of years, not only have I had the opportunity through reviewing grants as the chair of the Scientific Review Committee for our patient-centered YIA or Young Investigator Award, or having my own research funded by the Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network. Beacon funds the kind of research that is directly responsive to the voices and the calls of patients. I'm really excited right now that my collaborators and I are designing a pragmatic clinical trial that's going to help to create a prehabilitation intervention to help patients get stronger as they're going through chemotherapy and radical cystectomy for muscle-invasive bladder cancer. And that would never have been possible without the funding and the support of the Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network. Ultimately, we walk together to show our solidarity and our strength, but also to share our stories and our experiences in dealing with bladder cancer. And your support and the support of the Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network for these research initiatives, which directly comes from this incredible walk, couldn't be more important. I'm so grateful to Beacon, and I'm really excited to walk together with survivors, family members, caregivers, and providers who take care of bladder cancer patients in the upcoming weeks. And I can't wait to see you there. Thank you so much to Beacon, and thank you so much to all of you who continue to fight the good fight to end bladder cancer.
Hi, I'm Tony Golsorki, Vice President of Clinical Development at Gilead, focused on our research in bladder cancer. To all of you walking today, from wherever you start and wherever you end, thank you for every step that you're taking to help end bladder cancer. We're very proud to be partnered with Beacon to raise awareness of the signs and symptoms of bladder cancer, to support those living with the disease, and to advance the research to bringing more life to patients with bladder cancer. Thank you for everything that you do and for being as passionate as Gilead is about the work that Beacon does every day to raise awareness about bladder cancer.
One of the most exciting developments for me to see over the past 22 years that I've been in the bladder cancer field, but certainly in the last 17 years with Beacon, is the growth of the community, the number of people who are getting involved in bladder cancer care and bladder cancer research. We really are seeing the best and the brightest applying their expertise and their interests to improving the lives of patients with bladder cancer. The amount of expertise and time that's being put into bladder cancer research is so exciting. And we're seeing the benefits of that. We have new treatments now. We have many new treatments that have been approved. We have many more clinical trials that are being done. Patients and families, caregivers need to know there's every reason to be hopeful for the future so that more people can live longer with bladder cancer.
I'm Margot Wickersham, and I am grateful to be a bladder cancer survivor. I was diagnosed in March of 2020 and had my battle with cancer, fighting chemo, and also the surgery. I had a radical cystectomy, all during quarantine, and that made things especially challenging. But I do have the love and devotion of my husband, my 2 children, and friends that helped get me through this really tough time. The bladder cancer, the walk to end bladder cancer means a lot to me. And this year I have my own team, and we are Savor the Moment, because that's what I've learned and taken away from my experience. We are not promised tomorrow. We have today. How can I savor the moment that I have right now? So I hope that you will consider participating and donating so that we can raise awareness of bladder cancer and end it. In particular, I feel like it is on my heart to especially help bring the conversation more normalize the conversation so that we can talk about one of the below the belt cancers that can be a little bit embarrassing. You know, no cancer is great. None of us love it.
Hi everyone, I'm Chuni Kurana, Vice President, Sales and Marketing for Janssen Oncology's solid tumor portfolio. On behalf of Janssen Oncology, I want to express our deep gratitude to the Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network for bringing the community together for this important event. At Janssen Oncology, we are driven by our mission, which is to reimagine care so patients can redefine living. We will continue to address health disparities and ensure patients in every community live longer and better lives. We are proud to partner with the Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network, and we are truly honored to support the 2023 Virtual Walk to End Bladder Cancer.
I'm Gail. I'm in Seattle, Washington. I'm a bladder cancer survivor. In May, I'm going to be walking to raise funds for the Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network, Beacon. For 5 years, Beacon has been my beacon of hope in my journey through bladder cancer. There are going to be thousands of us walking across the United States. Come join us. None of us walk alone, and we all help each other.
Of the more than 82,000 people who are diagnosed with bladder cancer each year, the sad fact is that 17,000 will not survive their disease. While today is a celebration of our vibrant Beacon community and life and love, we also pause to remember those who have lost to bladder cancer. In this next segment, you'll learn more about Dan Miller and his life and legacy, and also about Pat Screeden, whose daughter Lauren recorded a moving tribute to her mom. These segments remind me of an old Irish proverb: death leaves a heartache no one can heal, love leaves a memory no one can steal. Here's our next segment. There's a special person we want to remember today, Dan Miller. Dan was a bladder cancer patient and a tireless advocate who worked so hard to raise money to help fellow patients through our walks to end bladder cancer. Dan lost his battle with bladder cancer in October of 2022. Linda, the love of his life, wife of 34 years, was by his side. Dan was so committed to helping others. As you see, Dan and Linda created a video for last year's virtual walk to end bladder cancer. Just months before his passing last year, he worked tirelessly to encourage his friends and family to walk and raise money for Beacon. He was one of the top fundraisers in last year's walk and leaves a legacy of commitment, caring, and compassion. Dan also gave back to the bladder cancer community in other ways. In 2021, he nominated Noel Lipman for Beacon's first ever Beacon of Hope Award, recognizing that special someone in a bladder cancer patient's life. When Dan received his diagnosis, Linda immediately contacted Noel, knowing that she is a bladder cancer survivor. Noel dropped everything and came right over, according to Dan. Noel brought a copy of Beacon's Bladder Cancer Basics, a handbook for newly diagnosed patients, and walked Dan through it. She also shared quite a bit about her own journey with the disease. Dan told Beacon, "We talked, we cried, we shared." To help Noel win the first Beacon of Hope Award, Dan encouraged a Get Out the Vote campaign because he wanted so much for her to win the award. He encouraged family and friends to vote early and often, and they did. That's how Noel won, driven by Dan's determination and gratitude. 2 weeks before he passed, he shared with his family a 6-page note on the things most meaningful to him. It was titled, "I am blessed." Thank you, Dan and Linda, for everything you did to help those with bladder cancer. And Dan, you will truly be missed.
My name is Lauren Screeden. I'm from St. Charles, Illinois, and in 2011, I lost my mom to bladder cancer. I was a junior in college at the time, and she was diagnosed at the end of my 8th grade year, so she battled the disease for 7 years. I remember before she was diagnosed, she thought it was just a UTI, standard bladder infection, didn't think too much of it, but happened to mention in passing these symptoms to her dermatologist, actually, and she said, "No, I think you need to get a second opinion. I know someone, and you have an appointment next week." Well, that appointment was with Dr. Gary Steinberg, who was at the University of Chicago at the time. So Dr. Steinberg diagnosed her. They ended up removing her bladder and putting in an Indiana pouch. I know Dr. Steinberg is very involved with BCAN, and the 7 years that we got to spend with my mom after her diagnosis, we owe largely to him. My mom was healthy. She never smoked, didn't drink, was active. I remember as a kid trying to understand how she could get bladder cancer, and there was just no explanation. Like I said, she thought it was a UTI, thought it was a bladder infection, didn't think it was that big of a deal. And that's the problem, especially with women. They have far worse outcomes at every stage of the disease because the symptoms mimic issues that are far less serious. More than 82,000 people will be diagnosed with bladder cancer this year, and 17,000 will not survive. After my mom had her bladder removed, she did chemo that year and radiation, and made it to almost 5 years without the bladder cancer returning. Eventually, she ended up at Memorial Sloan Kettering under the care of Dr. Bachner. And during that time, she got involved with BCAN. She met Diane Qualley, and I know that BCAN was just a wonderful resource for her and for my dad, especially with what they were going through at the time and what she was going through. But my mom was always one to turn a negative into a positive. She always wanted to help people. So that's what really drove her involvement and my involvement today, just trying to continue on her legacy. My mom spoke at BCAN's annual meeting in Jackson Hole, Wyoming in 2009, which I know she loved being part of, and she would be super proud of how much BCAN has grown today and how many lives that they've touched. It's really cool for me to be able to carry on my mom's legacy and continue to do the work that she was so passionate about doing for BCAN. Although this is a virtual broadcast, walk donations will be taken through June 15th this year, and you can make a donation anytime at bcanwalk.org. There is also something new this year that I think is really wonderful, so important. It's a support line for patients, caregivers, and those who have lost someone to bladder cancer. As we know, it takes a village and affects so many people when a loved one is diagnosed with cancer. So you can call 833-275-4222 Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 Eastern Time, and speak with an oncology social worker who can help. I just want to close out by saying thank you. If you've donated even $1, if you've told even one person to raise awareness, if you've learned one thing to help prevent bladder cancer in you or your loved ones, I'm just so appreciative for you tuning in today and supporting the Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network. I thank you, my family thanks you, and with that, I wish you a beautiful walk, hopefully with loved ones, remembering the ones we love, and honoring all of those still fighting this terrible disease today. So, thank you, and have a great 2023 walk.
Receiving a bladder cancer diagnosis can be frightening and may leave patients and their loved ones with many questions. Questions that can arise following a bladder cancer diagnosis include, what if I can't afford my treatment? What kind of support is available to me in my local area? How can I best support my loved one as they undergo bladder cancer treatment? To help support patients and their loved ones, the Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network, Beacon, has set up a free telephone support line in partnership with Cancer Care. Cancer Care's licensed oncology social workers provide professional psychosocial support for people whose lives are impacted by bladder cancer. They are experts in understanding the challenges that individuals face when they or someone they love receives a bladder cancer diagnosis. The Bladder Cancer Support Line is available to patients, loved ones, and also people who are experiencing bereavement. Oncology social workers are available to offer their support based on individual circumstances. Oncology social workers can offer support in the following areas: emotional and psychological support for patients and their loved ones, resources, publications, and information about bladder cancer and treatment, support for those who have lost a loved one because of bladder cancer, financial assistance and guidance on insurance benefits, providing or directing to counseling services, referrals to support services in your local area. The Bladder Cancer Support Line is available to people anywhere in the United States. As well as providing support services in English, many of the social workers are fluent in Spanish, too. To get in touch with an oncology social worker via the Bladder Cancer Support Line, you can call 833-ASK-4-BCA or 833-275-4222. Learn more about the support line at bcan.org/support.
We're approaching the last segment in our broadcast today, but before that, let's once again recognize the amazing Beacon community and those who are walking to end bladder cancer, heading over to social once again. And we have Jessica Lopez. She says, 2023 Walk to End Bladder Cancer, virtual walk, Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network. And look at her standing there next to those beautiful flowers. Thank you so much, Jessica. Colleen Tutzloff says, another successful Beacon Walk to End Bladder Cancer, Philadelphia. Clouds and drizzle did not stop this Fox Chase Cancer Center team. Look at that group. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Colleen. From EMD Serono, it's a beautiful morning in Boston for a bladder walk. Come say hello at Bladder Cancer US Walk this morning. Thank you so much. Another one, Deb Leedy. I'm a bladder cancer survivor, ! I've been in remission for over 3 years, and I am oh so thankful. I went through chemo, had my bladder removed, and was then in a clinical trial for Keytruda. Beacon, especially Karen Gross from the San Diego chapter, was very helpful and supportive, as well as the doctors and surgeons from UCSD. They saved my life. Forever grateful. That is amazing, Debbie. You just keep on going, girl. And we have Karen Sachs, bladder cancer survivor and Beacon board member. Karen Sachs is walking to end bladder cancer in Washington, D.C. Wonderful photo. And again, thank you so much, Karen and crew. What an incredible day. Thank you so much for joining us, along with hundreds of others from the bladder cancer community, both in person and virtually. And really, this just goes to show that our slogan, "No one walks alone," is truly alive and well. Before we wrap up, I want to express our sincere gratitude to all the amazing members of the Beacon community who are working tirelessly to end bladder cancer and support those impacted by it. From patients and caregivers to advocates, medical and research professionals, and everyone in between, your dedication is truly inspiring. And let's not forget that it's never too late to join the virtual walk. If you're interested, please simply head over to beaconwalk.org to sign up and make a difference. As Lauren said, we're accepting walk donations until June 15th. I also want to give a shout out to our wonderful walk sponsors, including our national presenting sponsor, the Astellas Segan Alliance. The national leadership sponsors are Merck, Photocure, and Eurogen Pharma. Our national patron sponsors are CX Bladder, the EMD Serono Pfizer Alliance, Behring, Genentech, Gilead, and Janssen Oncology. Thank you all. In our final segment today, you'll hear about hope from two amazing doctors who help create more and better tomorrows, as well as from Fran, a bladder cancer patient who found hope in the Beacon family. Make sure you stay tuned until the very end of the segment because several members of the patient community have a very special message for you. Finally, Beacon CEO Andrea Maddox-Smith will be strapping on her tennis shoes and getting us all ready to walk. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am signing off for now, but keep watching and we'll see you next year.
Hello, I'm Cindy DeVore. I live in Rappahannock County in Virginia's beautiful Piedmont region. I'm a bladder cancer patient. I was diagnosed in 2017. I happen to be doing very well today, thank goodness. And I learned about Beacon through my urologist. I was in his office one day and he gave me a pamphlet and asked me if I had heard of this wonderful organization. I went home, checked it out on the internet, and was so pleased to discover the vast amount of information that is provided to people like me who are dealing with this disease. I think it's extremely important, the work that Beacon does in helping to spread awareness of bladder cancer. I myself was a denier of my own symptoms, and I've even had people say to me, gosh, I didn't even know you could get cancer there. So this is very important work. Please do support the Walk for Bladder Cancer, and please do support Beacon. I'll be out doing our virtual walk with my husband this year. Thanks so much.
Beacon has helped me in many ways. Number one, of getting accurate information. And I think, though, personally, one of the best things they ever did for me was make me feel that I'm not alone. I decided to attend the summit that was held in Houston in 2019. I brought my daughter. I didn't know what to expect. And when I walked in that room and just saw how many people were dealing with bladder cancer and dealing with it well. I mean, there were people that don't have their bladders, living full lives, and that just gave me so much hope and inspiration. But that summit made me realize that even if I have to lose my bladder, it's not the end of the world, just because of all the wonderful people that were there. And it was just a great, great experience that I take with me.
Hi, I'm Seth Lerner. I'm a urologic oncologist at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, Texas, and a longtime member of the Beacon Board of Directors. Please join me in supporting this year's Beacon Walk to End Bladder Cancer. Such a great organization doing wonderful things for our patients, our caregivers, supporting with outstanding research. funding important, groundbreaking investigation, and hopefully we'll have great weather like we do today, and I'll see you out there at the walk. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Ashish Kamath, Professor of Urology at MD Anderson Cancer Center. We are pleased and proud to support the important work that the Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network is doing, and it's our pleasure to sponsor the 2023 Walk to End Bladder Cancer. Let's walk and work together to help those impacted by this disease and help make a difference in their lives.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching the broadcast this morning. We really appreciate it. You see, I have my tennis shoes on. I hope you've already strapped your tennis shoes on. Jennifer, outstanding job on the broadcast today. Okay, go Beacon Walk. Looking forward to having good numbers today.